Jackson, Mississippi. I had tenants with machine guns. I had tenants with assault rifles walking across the parking lots. That was a tough building. You gotta check this guy. This is our security guard.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you, man. He's patrolling, bro. He's patrolling.
Yes, sir. Always on the prowl. You know it.
Are we safe?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. Good seeing you, man.
You too.
Be good. We do invest in worse neighborhoods. So we have 80 units in Jackson, Mississippi, which is the murder capital of the murder state of America.
Right now, I'm walking through one of the most dangerous cities in the US, East Cleveland. And I'm about to meet a guy who only invests in these kind of areas. He's a coach, a speaker, and a really good investor. I have so many questions, but the main question is, how do you get to 500 units and why would you invest in a dangerous area? Hello.
George, come on in.
Hey, what's up, man?
Good to see you,
How's
bro.
everything? Good to
Very
see you
good,
too.
very good.
So, Walter, where are we today?
You're here at the Seatown Villas home office on Euclid Ave.
Awesome, awesome.
And this I wanted to show you earlier. This is the portfolio we have here in Cleveland and East Cleveland. This is Marlborough House. We're going to take a stop by there today. This is the building you're in right now. We just painted the front. This is our neighbor building, Euclid Gardens. These are up in, this is Lakewood, up on the north side of Cleveland. This we're going to go see today. This is called Euclid Emerald.
Okay.
This one is
That's Coventry.
Coventry.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's from, yeah.
Got it.
for us.
Then this is Edgeway down on the west side of Cleveland. This is super
I know
club.
this building. This is yours?
That's ours.
No way, man. Did
Yeah.
you recently bought this? I know it was for sale.
Oh yeah, we recently
How
bought
much did you pay?
all of this. The whole portfolio for 14.3 million.
Okay, and of course we are gonna be talking about this later in the video. But how many units do you have?
I have 508 units.
Okay.
300 here in East Cleveland, 80
Okay.
in West Cleveland and North Cleveland.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then I have 80 in Jackson, Mississippi, 13 in Fall River, Massachusetts, and 35 in Decatur, Illinois.
All right. Awesome. Yeah.
This is where our staff comes to have lunch. This is where our team works. This is where collections happens, leasing happens. This is our leasing office primarily. And but we do throw birthday parties here.
Nice.
We throw our staff parties here. And when I am in town, if we're having investors over, this is where the investors meet up. You got to check this out.
Yeah. Let me see.
There's no door handles here. This is a click.
Fancy. Yeah. Let's go.
It's a brand new bathroom we put in because the girls before the bathroom was a little closet that comes like this and the lights didn't work. It was just a mess. So we asked the girls, what do you want? And they said, well, if we can make it nicer, make it bigger. And then we had keys everywhere. So that's one of the things you're going to see us today is we're going to talk about keyless entry. So no keys in any of the new units. So it's obviously 380 units. We turn all the keys right
And
away.
how many units do you have in this building we're in?
This building's 22 units, correct?
22 units.
22
So
units.
2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, or?
Primarily 1 bedrooms, 4 2-bedrooms. There's a garage in the back and 2 storefronts here.
So how much do you charge for 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms?
1 bedrooms are $750, 2 bedrooms are $250. $850. Sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
obviously we're gonna be talking more about the numbers and everything, but how much did you pay for this building particularly?
This building was right around $700,000. Just got appraised at $1.4 million.
So you do like you rehab and then you do refinance or?
Yeah, man, BRRRR strategy. We
BRRRR,
come in with hard
yeah.
money. We do bridge loans. We do the little seller finance. This was a very complex deal. There was 6 different lenders on this particular deal to get it done right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What was the most challenging part?
6 different lenders.
6, yeah.
This deal to get it done right.
What was it? 6? Was it how many appraisals?
So we had a number of appraisals. Every bank wants their own appraisal. So there were appraisals for Stanwood. There were appraisals for 6 of the other buildings, appraisals for 4 of the other buildings. I also had to appraise 2 of my other properties to get the refinances to jack into this thing.
Wow.
So, and then there's a hard money lender who got involved to do a first purchase so we can use that money to go and buy the rest. So
No
it was
way.
a very complex deal.
Wow.
But it is possible. It's just the previous seller. Well, he's actually my partner. So I'm 1/3 partner on the whole portfolio. We ran into a real problem back in December. I was supposed to be a silent partner. So I went on vacation for 4 years. I sold half my real estate in Massachusetts. I was 100 units. I sold down to 50 units. And then I sold down to like 12 units. And I was just kind of passively lending. I was doing a lot of lending, getting involved with
Just
passive
enjoying
deals.
life.
Yes, 4 years teaching, speaking, coach. I was being that guy, like just hanging out. Right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted impact. And then my son was born. at the same time, my partner was struggling back here. We ended up in the news. One of our buildings, I'll show you it today, on Euclid Emerald, ended up in the news with pests, with water out, with no heat, with no electricity. And I called him. I said, bro, what's happening? And he was like, yeah, things are worse than I told you. And I had a big event I was running with almost 200 millionaires in the room. And the whole time back in my head, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be living in Florida anymore. I think I got to move my family to Cleveland because my son's brand new. He was like 4 months old. So I moved my family here in November, and we've just been grinding since.
Wow, you guys took off pretty fast then.
Yeah.
Can you show us what you guys did in this building?
Yeah. So this one, when we first came in, when it was originally the old office, this didn't exist. When you first came in here, this was actually a plywood wall, and there was a window right here. So imagine as a tenant, you come in, and there's actually videos of this on Instagram. You come in and all you see is plywood from floor to ceiling and a tiny little Home Depot window. You can't even fit an air conditioner in this window. And then you'd open it up like McDonald's and the girls would be on the other side trying to work, but they didn't have a desk here. Their desks were over there.
Oh, wow.
So they'd listen to the person and they'd go back over. Listen to the person, come back over. So one of the big things we did was we don't want it to feel like a prison when our residents come here. And one of the big changes.
Yeah, I just saw a lady walking out, you know, she seemed pleased.
Yeah, well, that's one of our cleaning ladies. She's staff. She's getting paid today.
Yeah, that's why she's pleased, yeah.
She's very happy. And she does good work, so she's proud of herself.
There we go.
Nope. So we changed this. So one of our managers actually comes from the hotel space. He was managing 20 Marriotts back in New Jersey and New York. So he kind of took this technique of like the central front desk where it's standing so you can meet the tenant where they are. You know, tenants don't come in and sit. Tenants are standing. But when we're doing leasing, the tenant can actually come back here. And one of the things we're working on is not using the word tenant anymore. I want to use the word resident.
Okay.
So when they can come back, they can actually sit down, have a conversation with one of our leasing agents and actually talk about the apartment. Okay. Find out what's going on. If there are problems with collections, you're sitting down, you don't feel like you're at a
that's so crazy. I saw much better areas and they don't have all of this.
Right.
And this is one of the most dangerous zip codes in the US, and like there we go, hotel.
It is true. So we do invest in worse neighborhoods. So we have 80 units in Jackson, Mississippi, which is the murder capital of the murder state of America. And when I started investing, I was in Fall River, Massachusetts, which is the heroin capital of Massachusetts. It was the place where people got shot the most. So we've always invested in the hood, but what I tell my investors, we make the hood good, right? We just bring it back. We give our tenants dignity again.
Oh, okay.
So
that's the whole, like, your whole idea is just to make things look better, right?
That building was good at one point.
Yeah.
And East Cleveland was good at one point. 60 years ago, East Cleveland had 40,000 people living here. Now the population's 14,000 people. But you look at, we own 300 units, plus my partners own 200 units here. And you figure most of our tenants are actually families. So we have almost 5% of the entire housing of East Cleveland we manage. We take care of.
That's crazy, yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility. So we gotta do good.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's go take a look at a unit.
Do you go often to events?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. 10X, I hit Grant Cardone's events every year. I do Russell Brunson's events, ClickFunnels every year. Tony Robbins. I try to be as active in events as I possibly can. The RIAs, the Real Estate Investor Associations, I'm very active. Last year I spoke at the National RIA out in Wisconsin. We did it in Milwaukee.
Nice.
So I got to have cheese and beer, but I was also speaking. I was speaking to the leaders of the entire National RIA and just sharing why it's important that RIAs need to exist. Because for me, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Boston RIA. They brought me on, they showed me, they taught me, and I raised my first $1 million from that event, just speaking and saying, hey, look, I got a deal. And that deal, I made my investors very wealthy, and I impacted the city. I had a 24-unit property there.
Wow.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So this unit it's about to be turned. We just had it cleaned up. It's got, all of the units here have fireplaces. You just feel it when you walk in, it's large, right? So it's got this good vibe.
It's huge, yeah.
The bedrooms are a little smaller. And like she said, these go for $850. This could be dining room, living room. That could be dining room, living room. I think what a lot of people end up doing is this ends up being an extra seating area because the kitchen's a good size. One of the things about this apartment that's a little weird is it's missing the top cabinets. And when we came in here, we said, you know what? This is kind of an okay space. In fact, Carmen made the change. This was actually, it came all the way out to here, and the stove was sitting off to the side. So she actually made the suggestion, said, cut it back, put a stove in there.
That's smart, yeah.
Thinking about how the tenant thinks, how are they going to live? And then the fridge was over here. but it didn't make a lot of sense. So now you got your cooking triangle is all right here, so you can actually work. So when we're going through the units, we do our best to make them make a lot of sense. Some of the cool things that you get in older inventory, that's the other bedroom. Some of the cool things you get is like these old cast iron tubs. So we're gonna actually come in, we'll clean this again, we'll reglaze the tub. We'll actually paint this with the same glazing that we use on the tub, and it's looking really nice.
So how was this looking before when you bought the building?
It wasn't looking this good. This is another tenant in, so this is the second turn. Turn 1, we do the floors, we do the paint. Turn 2, when we get a second shot, we'll come back and we'll do more finishings.
Do you usually invest in windows or?
Not in the beginning. So you have 3 phases to real estate. Phase 1, clean and safe.
Okay.
Phase 2, nicer. Phase 3, really nice efficiency.
Okay.
So phase 3 is where we jack up rents. Phase 3 is where most tenants are afraid we'll do that, but if
And
we're
this
just
is
buying something,
this is the phase 2, correct?
this is phase 2.
You don't do phase 3 until somebody moves out, right?
They gotta move out. Yeah. They can move out, or if somebody comes to us and says, hey, I really want a much nicer apartment, but the nicer apartments cost $200 more, we can move them to another phase 3 unit.
Okay.
If they don't want to live where they are. If they want their units to look nice, I've never run into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hundreds of tenants and nobody's ever said, yeah, come in and renovate my unit for an extra $200 a month. They don't, they just don't ask us
They
to do
don't care. Yeah.
But sometimes they will ask us to remove the carpets. So
Okay.
if the tenant's paying well, they've been with us for over a year, and they say, I don't want carpets anymore, I want vinyl. As long as they agree to an extra $100 a month, we'll go and do that renovation.
Okay.
So it's little things, we'll work with them, but it has to make financial sense too. 'Cause
Yeah.
Our staff needs to stay busy. They're out there turning units, fixing problems,
Correct. Yeah.
but we also like our residents. We want to keep them for a long time. So you notice hallways? This is marble, man.
There we go. So this is original, right? When
This is
everything
original. This was like
built.
this. Yeah, you can see the skyline up there.
Oh yeah.
And again, that's a phase 3 project, right?
Yeah.
If city wants to just, spend $1 million in every building
Of
on
course,
day
yeah.
one, but you can't. You have to get it to the point where the portfolio makes money. Then you go to the banks, you tell them what you want to do. Then you borrow that money, do that work, and 2 or 3 years later, you get to do phase 3.
Yep.
We go back to the banks, borrow more money,
Yeah.
and do that work. This is Lindsay. She's one of our leasing agents.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, we're gonna go to the next building.
Is this this one?
This one as well, yep. So this is Euclid Gardens, right next door. We call this one Euclid Stanwood. Sorry, this is Stanwood Gardens. This is Euclid Gardens.
Everything is a garden.
It's all garden. These are gardens. The rest you'll see are different names. So this is one of the big changes we made. As soon as we came in, we noticed there were just thousands of keys. It wasn't 500 keys for 500 units. It wasn't. It was thousands of keys, and we didn't know what any of them were.
Okay.
So the girls would go and they try the lock. What was happening is they'd go to do a renovation and say, or show a unit, and they're like, I can't get you in, which is unacceptable, right?
Yeah.
We hired a private consulting firm to come in and guide us on like how to turn this around the best way. And they mentioned keyless entry as a good first step. So yeah, you gotta forgive that we're in renovations right now. So
That's
the carpet
fine, yeah.
came up. Is this hallway done?
No,
After
no.
lights? Okay.
Upstairs, they started upstairs.
This is what we call phase 0.
Yeah. Phase
This
0.
is when we buy a building, first thing we gotta do is clean up the hallways.
Okay. So how many units do you have here in this building?
This is a 24 unit building.
24. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I brought the girls. They know all the units.
Okay. You do have in-house project management, right?
Yes.
That's these people, right?
So these ladies so Carmen spends a lot more time on the maintenance side of things,
Okay.
but we also have a back office that manages the tech of every single step. So all of our data entry is done on the backside, actually in
Okay.
the Philippines. So we have VAs that run, there's like 6 VAs on the back end. But then these ladies, see, this is exactly why keyless entry.
Keyless entry, yeah. They're looking for key.
Yeah.
Keyless entry, yeah. We're gonna be talking about this later, but when it comes to background checks, like these are some lower class
Yeah, we do
families.
background checks.
What is your standard for somebody to apply? Do you have a minimum credit
Yes,
score?
we do. You have to make 2.5 times the rent. We don't really go off of credit, but we look at that. But you do have to make the income.
We don't like to see evictions
No.
on somebody's record.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, eviction.
If somebody has an eviction on your record, because a lot of times we'll evict or start eviction and then the person will get expunged. If it stays on your record, you're pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty bad.
So this is a unit being renovated.
Yes, it's
So,
a renovated unit.
Did you guys change the windows here?
This one, yes.
Yes.
And how much is this one a month?
This is $750. Oh, look at that wallpaper, huh?
Yeah, there we
It
go.
looks fancy until you realize.
So wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yep. So phase one. Phase one, we'll probably leave this. Phase two will actually.
What do you
come here,
think
put
of these
surround.
tubs? Do you just reglaze them or?
We'll clean it and reglaze.
Okay.
Phase one, phase two are reglaze. Phase three, we'll end up doing something more expensive. Yeah.
And how did you find this deal?
This is an interesting one. So I moved here. I came out here because I was connected with the previous owner who became my partner. He found me on Facebook through a wholesaler, and the wholesaler was like trying to sell me the portfolio. He was actually trying to sell me half the portfolio. And then from that conversation, I jumped on with the seller, and the seller was like, I'm really not looking to sell. I'm really looking for a partner. So I was like, cool, because I'm not really looking to do work. I'm looking for somebody who can kind of swing it and just put my money to work for me. And that was kind of our initial. But here's the thing. Now that I'm here, I am one of the greatest operators. Like, that's just how I believe I am. I know I am. I live and breathe what we're doing here. But I also had just closed on 80 units in Jackson in January. So when I moved out here, I was doing that deal at the same time, stabilizing. That one was way worse than this. That one was down to 19 tenants. All the units were jacked up, needed to be completely converted.
Worse than this?
Worse than this, girl. You should. It's Jackson, Mississippi. I had tenants with machine guns. I had tenants with assault rifles walking across the parking lots. That was a tough building. But that building now is, we're at 58 occupancy. We turned 48 units. We spent $600,000 in there already.
Wow.
But our team is moving almost 15 units a month out in Jackson. Let's go for a little drive. You want to do this one first?
Terrace house?
Terrace house?
Let's do that.
Right.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, I get asked a lot. Why would a millionaire, multimillionaire, drive such an old, beat-up car? And the answer I have is I wasn't always a millionaire, but I never forgot the lessons of frugality. In order to get to where I am today, I had to save every single penny. I had to be efficient, and I had to keep my stuff clean. I believe in a clean car, right? So even though, like,
Perfect.
I got my suit jacket in case I need it, and then back here, oh, you're gonna love this. This is shock effect. Just in case I need to close the deal, we carry $1 million in the trunk at all times.
So where are we going now?
We're gonna go over to a building called Terrace House. It's a 50-unit building. It has 13 garages in the back.
How did you start investing in real estate? When was that? How long ago?
I started in 2008 with a single-family home. Everybody told me not to buy real estate at that time. This is the worst time to buy real estate. I bought it for $170, a single-family, two-bed house in Taunton, Massachusetts, and I renovated the heck out of it. I just everything with my own hands. My father taught me plumbing. My uncle taught me carpentry. My dad also taught me electrical. And then I tore the roof apart, raised the ceilings, and 4 years later, I sold the property for $205,000. So I made what I put into it. I spent $30,000, I made $30,000. We flipped that house, and then, so that's like a move-in flip. I lived there 4 years. But I flipped it, and when I sold it, I went and I bought a 3-family and a 2-family for the same money. So I took that $35,000 that I had from the sale, and I bought it it was a FHA 3-family. I moved into it. That was $157,000 I paid for that house. 3 years later, I sold that for $250,000, but I lived rent free the entire time, and I bought right next door a 2-family for $109,000.
Wow.
3 years later, I sold that for $240,000. So that kind of started this like understanding of, if I can buy enough of these that pay for themselves, why would I ever stop? Like, just keep buying things that pay for themselves. And then I scaled up to 100 units.
Wow.
I just kept doing it. I went through a divorce, almost lost everything. And that divorce made me really understand partners make a big difference, right? Whether it's a partnership in a marriage or partnership in a business, it's a huge impact on how successful you're going to be.
This is like nicer area of East Cleveland, right?
Yeah, this is a much nicer area. So this is Terrace House. This is a 50-unit building. You can see right next door, we got a 200-unit building up there. I was just explaining, that's like a full Snickers bar. Buildings like this are more like the M&Ms. You'll get a full bag of candy, but it does take a little while to get there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what our portfolio is. It's 20 units, 30 units, 40 units, 50 units, 80 units. They're M&Ms all over the place.
It adds up.
But it adds up, and it's really only 12 sites. So all of our stuff is really just, it's across a very short, easy to get to space. Come on through.
It used to be carpet.
I like this a lot better.
So you guys have cameras all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you have some crazy stories like murders or stuff like that?
Yes.
yes. Yeah. People have so not this building, but Euclid Emerald. There was actually a death. One of our tenants passed away a few months ago, and we've had in the same building gangs in there. So we have staff now. We have 3 security guards who walk all of our properties. Down here they carry guns.
Yes.
In Jackson, we used to carry guns, but our insurance policy didn't like that. So in Jackson, we stopped carrying
Wonder
guns.
why.
And there's a good chance we're gonna actually remove the guns here too, because our new insurance company does not like having us
Why?
armed. Because if you have a gun, there's a more higher likelihood of it going off.
Okay.
So our guys carry blanks. Like even though they have a weapon, they're not shooting real bullets. They're just carrying blanks. So.
Okay.
But you have to.
You have?
Yeah.
It's still East Cleveland.
There we go.
Let's go take a look at a unit.
Okay.
Yeah. George, we're at a point where the cameras aren't so much for catching thieves or criminals. It's more for catching pests.
Yeah.
People who aren't doing things right. You said you like the ugly stuff, right?
Yeah.
You said you like the problems.
Yeah, I want to see some problems, man.
Where there are pipes, there will be leaks. So you can see we had to cut it off right here. So this was just an old shark bite that was on there. That's not necessarily the right way to do it. And you end up having a line that froze and broke. And now for us and our tenants, we got to clean this up. So we got a big inspection coming up anyway. So we have to clean it for that anyway. But these things, guarantee, this is one thing. If you're a real estate investor, you will have this in your building. If you're a real estate investor in I don't care where you are in the city, in the country, all across America, if you're in other countries, you will have leaks, and you'll have drywall you'll have to fix, and you'll have plumbing you'll have to fix.
Doesn't matter if it's East Cleveland or...
That is par for the course.
Yesterday, literally.
Yeah. I live in a really nice apartment on the west side of Cleveland, and I had a leak the other night in my office, and my wife was like, "We pay too much for this." I'm like, "Yeah, but gravity and water, that's how it works."
So how did you find this deal?
All the same owner. So this is something I teach online, right? Instead of buying a single building and then buying a single building and buying a single building, my strategy has always been buy portfolios. I'd much rather buy 10 buildings instead of one building.
Okay.
So even when I was starting small, I'd buy a 3-family, a 3-family, and a 5-family all in the same portfolio, same owner. We're gonna be real quick.
Real quick.
How are you, brother? Good to see you again.
Hey, how are you?
You hear me?
How's everything? Good?
This is one of our best tenants. He likes us. He lets us show it all the time. I had investors out here 30 days ago, and he let us come right in. All the investors like this old school grandma TV. By the way, everybody loves your TV. They can't walk away with it, but they love it. How's work going, sir?
Fine.
Good? And how long have you been with us? 4 years?
8 years.
8 years. 8 years.
8 years. Awesome.
Sometimes you inherit good tenants.
Yeah.
It's not
Residents.
always good residents. Thank you. Yeah, my mentor, Vinny Chopra, he's always telling me residents. All right. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Such a nice guy. So you said you like buying like portfolios rather than...
Yeah. So like one of my purchases was a single family home, a 4-family, and a commercial building all in the same lot. And we paid $256 for that. The day I closed, I put the single family on market. The day I closed, hadn't even separated it yet.
Wow.
I put it on market, sold that for $150, and then the commercial building on the back, I tried to sell it for $100,000. I couldn't get it sold, so I ended up actually selling that as a shed so I could stay in the FHA law of 4 units. So I sold the 4-unit building with the commercial building I converted to a shed.
Wow.
Sold that for $250.
Wow.
So, and I was cash flowing the whole time, right? The whole time the 4-family was actually making a lot of money. So let's not go to Marble House. Let's go to EEA. Let's go show them some messed up stuff.
Yeah.
What's up, big dog? There he is.
See ya.
You gotta check this guy. This is our security guard.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you,
there
man.
is, man.
He's patrolling, bro. He's patrolling.
Yes, sir. Always on the prowl. Yowling.
Are we safe?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. Good seeing you, man.
You too.
Be good. When we took over, we actually started using them better. So before they were just security guards. They were kicking bums out. They were keeping, riffraff off the property. Now they actually walk around with their constable badge and they're collecting rents. So they're knocking on the doors with the tenants. So one, the tenants feel safer, the tenants who pay rent all the time. And then two, when sometimes we'll see them coming down the hallway and be like, "Oh, I got rent, But these are the nicest guys. Like,
Yeah.
they're super cool. They're like linebackers, but they have a heart. They're all military, so they know self-control, and they understand. Like, we're here to protect the tenants. We're here, the residents. We're here to make
Yeah.
them have a better quality life, and we got to get paid. So
Exactly. Yeah.
they're the right people to do the job.
Such a nice guy.
So instead of just paying security, now we're getting almost like this in-house constable process, which it's a nice economies of scale, efficiency that you get when you have enough units. That's one of the things my mentor told me earlier. If you don't have enough units, it's really hard to stay in the business because you can't pay for things. You can't pay for staff. You got to do everything yourself. In the beginning, I loved that, man. I loved doing everything myself. I was at 22 units, loner, fixing everything. I absolutely I loved it, right? I love operations, I love fixing things. But I was also a real estate agent and had 25 agents under me, and I couldn't run both businesses. I had one day 6 evictions in 1 month come all at the same time. And I was like struggling with selling houses and fixing my units. And so I realized, like, I can't do this alone. Like, I need more units to pay for a person who can actually start
leverage,
managing. Yes. And that was my first hire, like a hired non-commissioned person. Because obviously with salespeople, they're all commission based.
Yeah.
And this is East Cleveland. Look at this. Like, their roofs are jacked up, and then you got a nice building, but it's like in between all these jacked up buildings.
I heard they're going to fix up the whole area. Is that true?
The mayor's working on it. I went down to the mayor's office the other day, sat down with some of the staff there, the city councilman. I just said, look, guys, how do I help? What can we do to improve what you guys are doing? And I shared with them that if you want to really change the city, you need more investors here. But not just like out-of-state investors. You need actual operators who understand.
Like you guys, yeah.
Who understand, yeah. Who like work with actual banks and have real insurance. Because if one of these buildings, our buildings, got a roof tore off, we'd go replace it right away because we got money. We got insurance, right? But a lot of these people who've paid off their houses have no banks involved, have no insurance. So now the building gets destroyed and that person can't do anything about it. Where this is down, look over here on the left side, this is down. But then you have that's down, but look across the street, that's our building right there. So we got this Marlboro house here, we got that building there, so that's 24 and 24, 48 units. They're right next door. We've got this building's down. So there's a shift, like we're coming in, we're spending money, these guys are spending money. This is a building we might actually purchase, or we're looking into purchasing this one. These guys are spending money. So it's like spotted, and then you can see this one's messed up. It needs somebody to come in and operate.
Do you guys invest in commercial?
I do not like commercial. My brother does commercial. A lot of my friends do commercial. I will do mixed use at best. I'm a family guy, right? I'm a tenant guy. I'm a resident guy. That's my space. I understand families. I understand working class. I understand real people. When it comes to businesses, they can tell you their books are bad and they can't pay you. And it's like, well, I got a 7-year lease. What do I do now? So I know triple net lease is the way to go. Everybody says that in the CRE space, but I love tenants. Right?
Yeah.
It's what I'm good at.
People's person, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to see 42 units plus 81 units side by side.
Yeah.
So it's Superior Club and Euclid Emerald all in one nice big parking lot. There was one time I was in Las Vegas. I was coming over one of the mountains. So we're renovating 4 units at the same time right here.
Yes.
So there's our guys.
Clean
Woo!
everything.
So this is the building that was downed when we came here. It wasn't completely down, but it was, you can see there was water leaks. So every hallway has 4 units, and then it just goes up 3 stories, 4 units up top, 4 units down below, 4 units in the middle. This is 81 units across the 2 towers. Okay, George, it's about to get rough, man.
Oh.
So this is how we buy them. You know, when you come into a unit and it's tore up like this, and it smells like this, there's work to do. If you've been an investor long enough, you learn we don't open fridges. But you can't smell it on the camera, but it's right.
No, it smells really bad, yeah.
Yeah, it smells really bad. It's, some of this. So they're in here, they're working. And we got a big inspection coming up for our insurance. So we've got to make sure it's all fixed. We got to lease it up really quickly. It's work to you, George. Every vacant unit is money going out the window. So it's this one, that one, and on the other side of that is another building. So this is Euclid Emerald, these 2 here, total 81 units. And on the other side, you've got Superior Club. which is another 42 units over there.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you so much for showing us everything today. I have so many questions, but let me put it this way. For everyone watching this and they want to get into real estate investing, of course, and they want to get to the level where you are at. You told me you started with a single family or a duplex, right? And you house hacked that for a while, you flipped it, you sold it, but it's a long way from there to 500 units. What are the steps needed?
Okay. So there's seven steps to putting your names on deeds. So one, you have to stop thinking about money and start thinking about the result you're looking for. How much do I want to own? Where do I want to own? So here are the 7 steps. I'll just give them to you. Step one is strategy. So if you're in the single family space, you're going to be limited to how much you can actually own. So I had to change my strategy early in the game to something that was scalable. So I shifted to multifamily. Step two, once you do know strategy, then that wipes out a lot of markets. There's a lot of places you just can't invest because they don't have multifamilies. So think suburbs, think places in on the waterfronts. There's just not a lot of multifamilies that are affordable. So location is the next spot. You can't have 2 locations, just like you can't have 2 wives. Right? If you focus on 2 different people, 2 different locations, you'll never buy. So focus on one location, deep dive in, and people say, oh, you can't find any deals. If you go deep enough, you'll find deals. You'll find the wholesaler, you'll find the realtor, you'll find the connections, you'll call the seller. Step 3 is create a force of leads. Too many people go on the internet and try to find leads as their first step, but they haven't committed to their location, they haven't committed to their strategy. So once you have a flow of leads, once you get your strategy and your location, now you can actually, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm buying. I want to buy your house, I want to buy your house. Who do you know who's going to sell it? When I came to Cleveland, I said I'm buying 200 units, I'm buying 200 units, I'm buying 200 units. Told everybody that. And we bought 400 units. But because the mindset was, this is what I'm doing, that's what everybody thought I was doing. That was in their brains. When the realtors brought this to me and the wholesalers brought this to me, because this deal was brought to me by 6 different guys. And at the end, I just chose who I thought was best to close the deal. I picked a broker that I thought could do it. So step 4 is submit offers. It's wonderful that people like to look for things online, but looking for things doesn't get you anything. Exactly. You have to submit an offer. You cannot, guaranteed, you can never get an offer accepted if you never submit an offer. You will never buy a house if you don't say, here's my price that I'm willing to pay. And then once you submit enough offers, then you have to finance the deal. Actually, let me go back. Number 5 is underwrite the deal, evaluate the deal. Number 6 is submit the offer. Yeah, so you got 4 is underwrite, 5 is submit, 6 is finance. Everybody comes to me saying, I want to be like you, I want to invest, but I don't have any money. I'm like, dude, you're trying to get to step 6. You haven't figured out the first few steps. Right? Well, the money is in the deal, right? This deal was only because I knew how to finance a deal like this, right? We didn't bring any money to this until we needed to bring money to this, until we knew how to structure it. And then we brought investors, we brought banks, I brought some of my own money. I'm doing refinances to pull money out. But in some cases, I don't need to do my refinances. I don't need to pull my own money in. The deal itself, a lot of times, has the money. And then step 7, and this is where most investors, if they make it to step 6, if they close, because step 6 is fund and close. Step 7 is manage your ass off. Manage it damn well, because that's where most people will lose. If any investor can get all the way through, 3 or 4 years later, they're going to sell everything at a discount because they don't know how to manage. Unless the market's been going up and they sell it at, anybody can get lucky in an up market. In a sideways market or a down market like we're in right now, where it's going sideways, you need solid management. But if you can hold it for 4 years, you're going to see that thing appreciates. Even in a down market, even a sideways market, if you can increase rents, if you can reduce your expenses, you can actually get the building to appreciate. You can force appreciation. Yeah. And that's what we look for. We buy these things with 70% vacancy, 50% vacancy, and that's where we get our right off the rip a 20% discount. So if you look at the value of this is a $24 million portfolio. We bought for 14.3. You look at what we did in Jackson. I bought a $5.7 million portfolio for $2 million. You look at what I did in Decatur. I bought a $2.2 million portfolio for $1.2 million. Right, what I did in Fall River, I bought a 24-unit condo complex for $800,000 that was worth 2.4. Now it's appraised at $5 million. Wow. So every one of those deals was, I do 1 deal a year. I don't need a lot of deals. I'm not the volume guy. I'm the guy who does big enough deals to make my life change, and I'll hold that for a year. All right, so let me ask you this. So when you have all this equity and everything, do you use that equity to finance, or do you do private money lending, or do you have other people that are borrowing money? How does that go? There is a structure for how we finance. So the cap stack, what you're talking about, has different layers to it. In the beginning, we'll go private money, hard money. to close on, because nobody can finance something like this.
Yeah.
So we'll go private money hard in the beginning. Then we'll refi to bridge. This is where the burst strategy comes in. That
And
everybody's
how
familiar
long
with.
does it take? Do you guys need to fix up this or?
This one to go to bridge, this particular building will be 4 months. Yeah, we're going to bridge at the end of this month. We closed on it March. So March, April,
Yeah.
May,
July.
July. Yeah, so 4 months to bridge. Same with Jackson. Jackson will probably be 6 months to bridge. Because actually, yeah, it'll be 6 months to perm. We actually went bridge on that one. We started with bridge. We started with renovation and bridge.
And then after bridge, what comes?
Then perm. So
Perm.
perm is either agency debt, where you're going to like Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, where you're getting, like, those are the big companies that will give you really cheap money for like 6.35% interest right now. Or you go perm through somebody like Renovo or any of the other big lenders like Kiavi or Corvest, and they end up being a little bit higher. But perm's worth it. It's just a ton of paperwork. Agency debt is very expensive. Perm is just a little bit more expensive. Whereas agency that's very cheap. Right? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Agency that's very cheap, but the amount of intense work you got to do after you close is insane, and the paperwork is insane. It can take years for you to close some of those. They want to see the building completely stabilized for an entire year, 90% occupancy. Whereas, like, we don't have time to do that, so we're going to go to perm, which just wants to see the building stabilized for 3 months, and they'll give us a loan. So
Makes sense.
it depends on how we're structuring them. But yeah, in this one I had to refi, pull money out. I pulled investors in. This was a bigger deal than I was used to. So I did have to, pull different types of levers that I normally wouldn't do.
Okay. And very interesting. I noticed, like, you're a big time investor, obviously.
Wow.
And you invest in.
I'm a small guy compared to my mentors.
So I believe that, but
I'm the smallest guy in my network.
for most people watching, like, you're $500. I mean, that's considered pretty big. So what makes you invest in these kind of areas? I don't want to call them like really bad, but they are bad. Let's not lie to ourselves. What's driving you to invest in these kind of neighborhoods?
These are scary markets, right? There's no doubt that these are scary markets. When I'm talking to lenders, I call them gateway communities. So they can sound nicer.
Yeah.
But this is the hood, right? These are scary places to invest. There's a lot of uncertainties here. But I look at it as there are families living there that are scared too. And it's our responsibility as a landlord to come in, fix the water, fix the heat, fix the doors, make sure that things lock, make sure that the house is safe. And if we do that, it's our job to get rid of the prostitutes. It's our job to get rid of the drug dealers. It's our job to get rid of the gang members, the people who are beating on their girlfriends. I don't want the police showing up to my buildings every single day because it scares the other families in that building. That's our responsibility. So we do those changes and the neighborhoods around us get better because we buy the biggest buildings in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's not the single family that's the problem. It's the 20-unit building that has 2 or 3 knuckleheads in it that scares everybody in the whole neighborhood.
So do you evict these people immediately when you take over?
Oh, we're ruthless, dude. We're ruthless. We just come in, see who's managing, and say, hey, where are the problems? Obviously, if somebody's not paying, we give them a chance, right? We just came in, we're new management. Usually people don't pay because something's broken. That's usually the reason. So we'll go and fix those things right away and see if they pay. If they do, cool, back on track. If they don't, they're gone, right? Because it's a business, right? It goes tenant, it goes staff, and then it's bank, and then it's my family. And like my family's not going hungry. The bank's certainly not going hungry. My staff can't go hungry. They won't show up to work. And my tenants have got to pull their weight, right? We're giving them a house. They got to pull their weight.
So for the end, like you're a speaker, you know a lot of speakers, you have some high up mentors. Like what would be a couple tips that you can give to anyone that wants to start investing, like those 7 steps that you told us, that would be a good starting point, obviously. But what is something that you wish somebody told you a long time ago that you know now?
So the thing I learned from a billionaire, I asked him very specifically, I said, how do you think at the $1 billion level? Like, where do these $1 billion ideas come from? Because I've always taught, think $1 million, plan the business to make $1 million. Don't pick a business that can't make $1 million because then you're wasting 3-4 years of your life. If it doesn't have the capacity to get there, why'd you waste 4 years of your life? So I asked him the same thing. I said, how do you do $1 billion ideas? Because he's done it 4 times. So like, how do you think that way? And he said, first, you got to believe. And I just rolled my eyes like, dude, like, don't roll your eyes. This is where most entrepreneurs mess up. And beginner entrepreneurs, all their family will tell them you can't be successful, it's not going to work, tenants, toilets, trash, like all the different things they'll say to you. You're going to get sued, all this stuff. He said, if you can get past belief, you can believe that it's possible to build a business of, let's call it 500 units. Then the second step is you got to make it visual so that others can believe. Not only do you have to look at, we talk about vision boards, like not only do you have to have a vision board for yourself,
For others.
you need a vision board that other people can look at. If you come in our office, you see the boards we have up there, those are our properties, right? And then we put a logo on the top of that, Seatown Village. You got to believe, it's not there yet, it's coming.
Yeah.
You got to believe that that's what this is going to become. So when I went to my investors, I create this whole PowerPoint deck that says, this is what this is going to be when we're done. This is where it is, and this is where it's going to go. So when I tour a building, I'm like, show me your worst 2 units and your best 2 units. I'm taking pictures of both, and I'm going to go to my investors and be like, this is what it looks like now, and this is what it's going to look like later. So step 2 is visual. So step 1, you got to believe. Step 2, you got to be visual. Step 3, and if you can make it to visual, because I know a lot of salespeople don't get their PowerPoint done. They don't get their brochure done. They don't get their
Correct.
T12 done, right? You got to be able to tell everybody. And that's where 99% of these entrepreneurs, thought people, idea people, oh, I got this big business, it's going to be amazing, fail, is they don't tell absolutely every human being. They think the person that they grew up with doesn't know somebody. They think the person that they went to school with doesn't have money, doesn't have connections. Whereas success is truly about tell absolutely every human being. If you're not telling somebody what you're doing every single day, you're falling behind. Like Grant Cardone is always like, you gotta tell who's got my money, who's got my money. It's kind of true, but I'm just going out there and telling people, hey, this is my goal, this is where I'm at, this is what I need next. Who do you know? It doesn't have to be you, but who do you know who can help me solve this problem, right? And then it's just grind, because once you believe, okay, now I gotta go work.
So you gotta believe. You gotta tell everyone.
You gotta know everybody's gonna know your vision. Everybody's gonna know your
What's the final step?
That is it. Don't stop until successful. You never stop. You're in sales, you never stop telling somebody. Like for me as a realtor, I was like, I'm building millions, I'm building millions, I'm building millions. My job is to build millions. I'm gonna make you financially free.
There you are.
That's it. I'm still building millionaires.
What is your, let me ask you this before we take off.
Yeah.
In 20 years, what's your goal?
20 years, do something useful, do something important. If it's still buying real estate, if the market still needs me, I'll still be here. If the market doesn't need me, I'll be on to something else.
Okay.
But I asked how much money is enough. It's not about the money. It's about, I would stop buying these types of properties if I stopped going to cities and didn't see downed buildings. Like Jackson is what brought me back into this. I walked into the unit because I was helping a student. The guy paid me $50,000 to coach him. So I was like, I'll fly out there, let's go. So I'm walking through this unit. This unit, it's 20 degrees outside, it's 20 degrees inside. The woman's got an 8-month-old son, same age as my kid. And I'm in that building and I'm just like, how long has it been like this? She's been like this for a month. She's got curtains blocking the doors. She's heating her house with the stove. And there's roaches running across, slow because it's cold, but they're still in the unit. And I asked her, I was like, what, why are you still here? And she said, I don't have a choice. I can't go anywhere else. And I left that unit and I looked over at my partner, like he became my partner. I looked at him and I said, bro, like, we have to close on this. He's like, I don't have the money to do this one. I just want to, tour and walk through. And I was like, yeah, we'll figure that part out, but we have to close because this seller's done, right? I know financially he has no more money. He can't fix anything. He's done. He's tapped and he's in a bridge loan. He's going to lose the house. It's going to foreclosure, right? That was the whole point of this deal, was that this was going to foreclosure and the bank was going to take the business back, which means all these tenants are going to get kicked out. There's still 30 families living there. And I told him, like, we don't have a choice, dude. Like, we have to close. And that's what actually pulled me back out of retirement. that was the deal where I was like, oh, man.
And then this, and now it just keeps going.
So now I will keep teaching. A lot of my people in the real estate investor space, a lot of my mentors will say, well, why do you teach? Why are you coaching? Why are you doing this? It's like, you're training your competition. I'm like, good. I want them trained. I don't want to do this forever. I want somebody to come in and do the work. I'm training my replacements.
So how can people get in touch with you? Obviously, I'm going to post some links down there.
Yeah.
Do you have coaching or something? Or
there is coaching. I only work with 100 people right now, and these are my millionaires. So these 100 millionaires are kind of like becoming little family offices. So my job is to make them financially free. Some of them are $6 million net worth, $12 million net worth, $8 million net worth. Some are $2 million net worth. And but I do a free training program every single Saturday. So tomorrow, 10 o'clock, I do what's called a 52 weeks to wealth. So I teach the 52 wealth principles. So if somebody wants to connect with me, they can go to ibuildmillionaires.com. They go to ibuildmillionaires.com.
That's crazy.
Register for
That's
the
your
52 weeks.
domain.
So that's my domain.
There we go, man.
There are coaches that charge that have told me like, bro, like I want that domain. Like, what will you pay? What will I like? How do I get it from you? And it's like, dude, like, no, I branded that thing. Like,
Wow.
I don't charge people coaching anymore. I just work with my clients, you know, and those are my people. But I do the 52 weeks of wealth as a free service.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that's how I built 37 millionaires. Like that free program built 37 millionaires over the last 6 years. Because when we come on, the first thing I tell you is we're going to double your income, double your net worth. If you don't want to do that, you can log off now.
All right, so I'm getting a free coaching now.
Yeah, man.
For you. All right.
You and everybody who shows up. It's yeah, I build millionaires, and that's the truth. At the end of 5 years, if you're starting from nothing, you'll be a millionaire, or you didn't listen to me. Plain and simple. And there's like 50 millionaires who show up on the call. So like, just reach out to them. You got mentors built into that program.
That's very powerful.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's what I said when I was broke. I was 2015. I was sitting in a room called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and the guy on stage said, "More people need to teach how to be wealthy." And I was like, dude, like, I don't belong in this room. I feel like I snuck in here. You know, I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a broke kid, like who's trying to learn some shit. But I was like, I will learn everything. And my commitment was like, I promise, when I'm wealthy, I will teach. And then I spent.
There you are.
Now I'm here. It's part of what I have to do, right? It's like you make a promise to God, you got to go and fulfill those promises, right? So even my wife, she's like, "Why are you still teaching? You don't get paid. You're not doing this." It's like, dude, like I teach because somebody asked me, right? Dude asked me to come speak. I'll be there, right? Like it's what I do, you know. Be careful the promises you make, right? But I was desperate. I wanted to change my life. And this guy said that we needed more speakers. So I actually ended up paying him. His coaching was $5,000 that time in 2015. I paid him to teach me how to speak $35,000 because I was broke, right? I had no money. But 4 years ago, I got in connection with him. And I was like, dude, you changed my life. What is your coaching? He's like, it's 35,000. And I had just made 300,000.
Wow.
So I said, done. But that guy who was sitting in that room I could never write a check for $5,000. So he changed my life.
Yeah, it's a big upscale, for sure. All right, well, thank you so much. So many takeaways. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Reach out to this man right here to get some free coaching, and I wish we can go on, for 5 hours like this. Maybe in the next in the next video we will do for sure. Thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Absolute pleasure, George. Thank you, man.
Yeah.